Time for class, kiddies. No, that's not right. Salutations, Earthlings. Welcome to the great dance of light. Being the star tetrahedron, which is the perfect balance of divine masculine and divine feminine, power and love. It is created of consciousness and light, but it is consciousness that originally created light. So the theme of today's chit chat is consciousness is the only thing that exists. But it's clever stuff, mind you, that consciousness. And so as it first, again, vibrated out from the void, it was a vibration, just a wave form. But that waveform then created a peak and a valley, which was then energy. And as then energy began to crisscross, it then created mass. And so that was then the divine masculine of power. Power. Consciousness then mirrored itself. It simply said, okay, I'm going to just look in a mirror and mirror myself, and created love, wisdom, action, the divine feminine. The positive and negative, the yin, the yang of creation. But it all being consciousness, consciousness was then able to create light and create hydrogen, which is positive and negative, just like once again, masculine and feminine. And as it coalesced together, consciousness came together in love. That's what love is. It simply is attraction. And then the hydrogen exploded into light for the first time. And it really is the light of the Christ, not a person, but the illumination of manifestation. And then as consciousness was emanating from out of the void, we know at the very center of the star tetrahedron, where all of these interior facets come together, it creates 12 original facets, which is the original jewel in the lotus, those 12 facets. And as consciousness source streamed through those 12 facets, the dodecahedron, it's then simply like a prism. Just as you take light and you hold it in a prism, it arrays into the rainbow colors. And there's really 12 colors within the rainbow. We only discern usually 7 of them, but they're really 12. And as consciousness then streamed through the dodecahedron, it then prismed into the 12 numbers, the 12 colors, and the 12 sounds of creation. Sound simply being vibration. A unique vibration that is associated with a color and then associated with a number. And as this streaming of energy came forth, it then differentiated into 12 archangels of creation that then began to unfold and develop the universe with 12 unique qualities, which then is also mirrored in our 12 astrology signs. And once you then move through all 12 astrology signs and perfect, excuse me, the qualities within that particular sign, you then are enlightened. So once again, you have brought all the 12 back together. And of course, that can only be done through the perfect balance of masculine and feminine, yin and yang, which is then the star tetrahedron that takes those 12 facets and literally illuminates them with light. Once again, the light of the Christ. And so, again, consciousness is all there is. So even though you think you're sitting here with me today, it's just a field of consciousness that has, through focus and imagination, intention and imagination, literally learn to coalesce the illusion of light back into form. But then in quantum physics, we know that an atom is 99.99999% space. And similarly, the electron is moving so fast, it gives it the illusion of form. That's what you think you are. But you're really the consciousness that has sculpted the body. You don't yet quite know how you're doing that. And that's the next level of mastery that we're moving to, where we are no longer overshadowed by dimensional reality. We have mastered dimensional reality. And then simply by focusing attention and imagination, we can literally bring form into manifestation, what we might call magic. And it is so very similar to when we go to the movie. There's a blank screen, but then the light comes on, the focusing of attention, and then imagination, the film, runs in front of the focused intention of light. So it's simply light shining through film, but it creates upon the screen this outrageous montage of emotion and feeling and love and splendor and happiness and beauty and grace and tragedy and chaos. Sounds like Earth. But it's all just the play of consciousness dancing upon the blank screen of the reality that we perceive it to be in order to gain more consciousness. Because when we as consciousness focus, again, focusing light, mind, upon being powerful and having lots of money and being well known, and it's not authentic love, it creates those things. You have sculpted reality, the screen of manifestation, into more power and money and manipulation and control. But there's no satisfaction because you come back in the next light show, which we call the next incarnation. And you then have people manipulate you and control you and belittle you and make you feel powerless so that you'll know what that felt like. You then have knowing that, oh, when I did that, I caused pain, and now I feel that pain inside of me. And so pain and suffering is one of the dominant themes of gathering and honing consciousness on the planet. It's just karma. When you do something good in another lifetime, you're focusing your intention upon service and love and bringing more happiness and peace. Voila. Next incarnation, you're simply receiving that back. Consciousness is now gathering back to you the emanation that you are. You're joyful, you're filled with peace and harmony and goodness and grace. And that's what you sculpt. It simply comes back to you. And it's all just consciousness learning through free will. If I err or cause something that is out of balance, then I receive consciousness as a visual sculpted reality, bringing that feeling, there's the key word, that feeling back to me, which is emotion. And so emotion then, when we are not in love, the very opposite of love is fear. Fearful that I'm not lovable, fear that I'm not worthy. But we know that fear gives rise then to sadness. I'm sad that I'm fearful. And then loneliness, and then grief, and then maybe guilt and shame, and then frustration, then anger, then finally hatred. Again, simply your consciousness is creating hateful and seeing hateful things, and you perceive it as reality. But as I was talking to one of our students today, she was saying, well, when we become enlightened, what's the point of any being? I said, well, it's the joy of looking through all of the sculpted reality of consciousness playing and you see nothing but light and consciousness and source dancing with itself, and it's outrageously fun. Don't you think Earth is the most amazing thing? It's dolphins and sunsets and wonderful food and sensuality. It's just the best. But it's just consciousness sculpting itself into a reality so the consciousness can play. And you are the one that is doing the sculpting, but most people yet don't understand how they are doing that. They don't know that their little thoughts and their little perturbations of the mind, and I'm not feeling good today, and I don't like that, and I'm worried about this, and I don't know if that's going to happen. Then you create it to be that way. And then people think, well, I'm a victim. I didn't think that I was going to meet a burglar just because I was afraid that I don't have enough money or money is going to somehow fly out my door. But you did. You just don't understand how you did it. And so that's why it's so important to understand and hone and refine the mind, to not be so active in thinking. The only reason the mind is thinking, the only reason the mind is thinking is looking for love. It's looking for love in all the wrong places. You can think for eons, for the entire 18 billion years of the universe. You can think about love. You won't feel it. It's not a thought. Thought is to create free will, to examine what is not love. Well, that was manipulation, control. It created the emotion of anger and hurt. Okay, so there's the feeling. The mind is dancing and creating feelings. And when you sense the feeling of sadness or frustration or anger because you're not being fulfilled, that creates pain and suffering. And then you want to stop and ask yourself, why is that happening? What's going on? And for a majority of people, they simply say, well, if I just have another relationship, or I'll get another job, or I'll move somewhere. Jennifer and I went to Hawaii one time. We were walking on the beach, and there was this kind of scruffy looking, it's almost like a bum. We were chatting, and we were saying, Hawaii is so wonderful. He said, yes, in one way, but you always take yourself with you. And so this person who was in paradise looking all scruffy and beat up and like he had nothing, just took himself with him from America to Hawaii and placed himself down. You always take yourself with you. Until you change here, nothing's going to be different out there. For a while, the illusion can look different. But then because it's not fulfilling you, it's not really the ultimate expression of love and just peace, you then look for something else. And that's the mind. It begins looking once again. But in the looking, it has to judge and make choices and criticize and say, well, I like this box. I don't like that box. Then the mind becomes busier examining all the boxes that have ever happened to you around some emotion of loneliness or broken relationship. And it creates more mind energy and more emotion within. And pretty soon it vibrates out and pain and suffering. The teacher shows up. But to find that teacher before it causes pain and suffering is the key. And that's emotion. We've talked often where feelings are simply the product of the divine soul that you are. I was talking to a client the other day about holograms. If you take a hologram and take a hammer and shatter it, the most teeny, teeny, beeny piece has the entire hologram within it. Well, that's what simply Source God did. God simply shattered the hologram of the divine into ultimate trillions upon trillions of pieces. And the hologram of Source Divine is still within you. but it's covered over with emotion, which is how you are learning about free will. If you were simply the part of the hologram that always knew what you were going to do and where you're going and what was going to happen tomorrow, it would be boring. So that's why the hologram of Source, dividing itself into trillions of little bitty pieces, said, I'm going to now create some of those pieces to have free will. This will be interesting. And it is damn interesting as you look at Earth. But what a wonderful thing, free will. God Source is within me. And as I then dance with the emotion and let it go, I realize I have free will to be a creator being. I'm my own unique source God being that can now launch out in this creative vector that the divine never knew was going to happen. So I'm expanding the consciousness of Source. Again, that's all consciousness is doing. But where love is not there, then that's the emotion. And the love was first established when this divine piece of the hologram, your soul, mother and father had prepared a physical form, a baby. But then the hologram of the soul took a piece of its perfection. And what is the perfection of the soul? It's the attributes of the joyful child. Joy, creativity, imagination, adventure, excitement, enthusiasm. And it dropped it down into time space. Perfection was established within that baby. But then karma came along, and the child wanted to express those feelings of joy, creativity, imagination, adventure, excitement, enthusiasm. But mother and father and culture had other ideas. So they began to go to school and get good grades. This is what you should be doing. No, don't do that. So they began to cover the child with limited thoughts, feelings, and ideas. Not because they're bad parents, it's because the child, through free will, wanted to learn about those qualities that maybe dad is teaching you how to be powerless. Mother is filled with grief and loneliness and feels she's not worthy. Well, what does the child do? The mind doesn't say, oh, that's their stuff. The child doesn't have a mind till age 7, when the neural nests begin to function and it discerns, oh, that's something outside of me. But from 0 to 7, the child simply takes everything in and says, that must be me. The unworthiness the mother feels, that must be me. I don't feel love. The powerlessness I'm experiencing from father, that must be me. I must be powerless. But that's, again, the karma. And so you're no longer living in feelings of childlike splendor. You're then carrying around all this emotion that now is vibrating out and is creating things that are out of balance and pain and suffering and things that don't work out. Bravo. Those are simply the gifts that you are creating to give you information, just information about what can I do to love myself. Love, it's the key to the universe. It's what the universe is. Source simply said, I'm going to just expel holographic bits of my pieces out into the whole universe. Love. And I'm going to see if they can find their way back to me. Hide and seek. But when one does not love, one is then looking through their emotion, their karma, the things that they've done in the past in error, not bad, not wrong, simply learning situations. You've never done anything bad or wrong. You've simply created learning situations. And you might not really know or feel that until you're looking through a clear, open lens of who and what you are, uncovering from around you all that emotion and simply being the light of the divine being you are, the holographic piece of God I am. And emotion is the key. Because if there's sadness and grief and loneliness and fear and anger, and your mind is busy creating light It's going to shine through that, just like the film at the movie. There's your movie. You sculpted it. But when you feel the emotion, if you catch it quick enough, oh, I'm feeling unworthy. Oh, then you stop. And from our work, we know, well, that's a lie. But where did the lie come from? So you get quiet. And the quietness of meditation, taught the mind how to be more silent and focused. And you're focused upon the perfect balance of masculine and feminine, the divine being that you already are, which is the frequency of gold. And as you allow and feel that feeling of the warmth of sunlight and the sparkling effervescence of this pure consciousness flowing in, you settle into the feeling of unworthiness. You don't dislike it or judge it or criticize. You simply settle through it, and it becomes non-resistant. When you dislike something, it becomes resistant. Love creates it to be non-resistant. Everything wants to be loved. Even the darkness wants to be loved. And so it's just easily settles through it. And then you weave your way back through time, space, and here's this magical child. Joy, creativity, imagination, adventure, excitement, enthusiasm. And then you show up as this divine golden being of light, reach down and unconditionally love the child and welcome it back into your arms. You're reparenting the child. There's an adage in the Bible that says you must be willing to give up your mother, your father, your sisters, your brothers for the kingdom of heaven. And what that simply means is you can't give your power or your authority or any of you who and what you really are over to them to love or deny or not love you. You love yourself. You've reparented yourself. And then you observe everyone as just wonderful people. Observing your mother and father as wonderful people, your sisters and brothers as wonderful people. You have given up your mother, your father, your sisters, your brothers to simply see and feel love and light. And then you're free. There's no longer any emotion around you. What is shining out from you is the light of the divine, the consciousness and light of the star tetrahedron, with the 12 facets and unique qualities of source coming forth, 12 colors, 12 sounds, 12 tones. And that becomes your symphony and your sculpting of life, of what would be the joy of my creation. The light of the divine masculine, not thinking, but simply focused attention, unwavering. If you go to the movie and the projector, the beautiful film is running, and it's a marvelous film of, forest and little animals in a stream. But the projector is bouncing back and forth, bouncing back and forth. How does the screen look? Looks all fuzzy, and this isn't a very good movie. I'm getting sick of this movie. Is that bad popcorn I had? No, the intention is wavering. The light is wavering. At the same time, if the light is precise, but here comes the movie and it's filled with joy, and all of a sudden a very dark shadow enters into it. It's like Snow White eating the apple, and the Black Witch shows up, which is just emotion. It's just a symbol for emotion showing up. And then the whole movie's ruined, and it's dark, and everyone is being overshadowed with negativity. What happened? Well, the imagination simply brought forth an emotion that overshadowed the love and the harmony and the joy and the grace. The mind didn't waver, the emotion did. So that's why it's the perfect balance of masculine focus and divine feminine imagination, which is love. I so love that. I imagine it. I feel it. And then the light shines on it. And now I'm sculpting this amazing reality that is filled with nothing but grace and harmony and love and sharing. And everything is childlike and magical. I was walking down the street in Oregon not too long ago, And I looked down, and I don't know if you've seen those little HO gauge trains, little train tracks. Well, someone had put down a cement walkway, but they'd take these little HO gauge train tracks and put it in the walkway. And I saw that. I went, someone knows their magical child. It was the best thing to see that. So it's just emotion. And if you catch the emotion quick enough, then pain and suffering flies out the door. You don't need to dance pain and suffering. Pain and suffering is the last attention getter. And then pain and suffering then finally goes to dis-ease in the body. Then you can't run from it. You can't change relationship or job or gather more money or disease. It's real. It's in my body. I can't run from it. It's just the soul giving you a gift of awakening. And if you again bring the consciousness of the divine you are and settle into the dis-ease, because that's all it is, it's an emotion of dis-ease that over time has become so coagulated that the cells and tissues can't breathe. It's just calling for your attention, for the divine that created you to be who you are. As I was saying with the client of the day, it's really easy. It's just the most difficult thing there is on the planet. My planet's going to be different. I'm telling you right now. Only Gary's on my planet. No, that'd be boring. One of the, of course, things that really assists us in our meditation and our refining of our consciousness is to know that when we're breathing, we're really sitting at the doorway where the dodecahedron is, where these 12 streams of consciousness are coming forth. And we are in the void. So when we're breathing in, we're really, you might say, pushing out of the void consciousness. So our in breath is from out of the void. And then as we then exhale, we're collapsing those 12 streams of energy into our choices. And of course, our choice during meditation is, I'm now seeing it as sparkling, effervescent, golden living light through all my cells and tissues and through my aura, and now simply streaming out into the world and gifting the world with peace. I'm not trying to change the world. Once again, that's manipulation, control. I'm simply showering such peace and light upon it. It's igniting the truth of what is within all creation. Source. And so when we're also doing our meditation, I'm always sitting here at the doorway. And then I'm simply and then exhale, seeing this sparkling, effervescent light. Of course, the deeper beauty to it is that your body doesn't really exist. It's just consciousness. So in fact, every cell and every part of your being is breathing. It's not just this that's breathing. If you're really in your deep feeling nature, you'll see that every cell and every tissue within your whole being, which is consciousness, is going and breathing out. You're creating space, you're creating openness, you're realizing that everything about me is nothing but source breathing itself. And the consciousness I am is in sculpting it to be my reality. Consciousness playing with consciousness. It's all that exists, consciousness. Clever stuff. So I'm going to take you through about 5 minutes of breathing. Don't stop for more than 5 minutes. Dang, they stopped breathing. So let's close the eyes and feel the body relaxing, please. The body is light, and when you breathe into it, you can let it expand and let go. It's not solid, it's 99.9 point space. And as you relax, the body feels safe. You realize it's just a field of consciousness. But now you sit at the open doorway, and as you're breathing in, you're really within the void, breathing out. And with your exhale, you are collapsing it. You collapse the waveform into a focused particle of golden liquid sunlight and peace through every cell and tissue of the body. You are consciousness breathing yourself. There's no effort. Breath is the life of the universe. The first opening from the void into creation was breath, breathing out. And you are but the mirror of that, a holographic mirror. When I, the being, am breathing in, the source I am is breathing out. Into 12 streams of color, sound, numbers, 12 archangels, 12 constellations. And the light that I create with my breath flows with effortless ease, just like the sun shines upon all creation. I am becoming at one with the breath of Source, breathing light and life every moment. And exhale. I can affirm the one ultimate truth. I am the light. I am consciousness creating light so that I might see myself. The light is the Christ, which is divine masculine, divine feminine, married together, which creates sunlight. That illuminates creation. It's true when we say Christ is the light of life, not a person, a quality of divine power and love unified. Intention upon love, and light flows. And every cell and tissue in my body is breathing. All around me, there's only breath. I am. I can breathe walking, driving my car, sitting at my desk. Simply becoming consciousness of I am source, breathing life into light. The physical sun for what we call 5 billion years simply says, I am breathing source into light. And it nurtures, produces life, and the sun breathes with focused attention, unwavering. And still sitting at the doorway, I am the doorway. Again, another saying, I am the doorway. What is I am? I am consciousness. Sitting at the doorway, manifesting through the light I am, illuminating my manifestation. And then slowly coming back into the now. Okay, everyone's glowing. This is good. Now we're going go for the maximum glow now, the actual meditation. So once again, we'll be sitting at the doorway. It's where consciousness, again, originally streamed itself into reality. I was asked by, again, a client of the day that you used to bring light in from above. And I said yes, because that's the only thing that I knew at that particular time, that source or light, the soul, was something outside of me that I needed to find and bring in. But what that did, I kept imagining the golden light and the feeling and the frequency and the beauty of it. And over time, it simply refined my consciousness until it began to dawn that it's not out there, that it's really breathing from inside out, that this is where the light really comes from. So it's just steps in one's evolution. Nothing wrong. A lot of my clients, I still say, open the crown chakra and feel the golden light flowing in. It's a way to hone and refine the focusing of the mind and the feeling of love upon sparkling, effervescent light. But the beauty of it is, it changes you. See, that's the beauty of it. So for our meditation, if you feel comfortable sitting at the open doorway and breathing from source inside out, and then we will then observe above us the divine masculine gently moving left to right clockwise, and then the divine feminine right to left counterclockwise into earth, breathing with mother, and source breathing from the heavens above. So let's close the eyes and feel the body relaxing. Once again, feeling space within the body. I am consciousness. I choose to feel my body as space. And I sit at the doorway, the jewel in the lotus, on one side the divine, the other side the realms of manifestation. I am the doorway. As I breathe in, source is then flowing into this dimension. And I observe above me and around me the divine masculine triangulation, gently moving left to right clockwise. the focus of attention and power. I observe beneath me and intertwine through the triangulation above the divine feminine, gently flowing from right to left. It is the star tetrahedron that illuminates manifestation, the Christ light. I am. I will join with you and we will illuminate creation. And very easily now, still resting at the open doorway, breathing, Source I am. Thank you for coming and dancing in the light I am. And we shall see you all soon. Blessings, my friends.